There was no love lost between Mississippi State and LSU, and especially myself and LSU. It seemed like every time we played them, they had a bullseye on my back. If they saw Bond and they saw 13, they were told to put their helmet right in between the 1 and the 3.
John Bond, 4 straight victories over LSU as Mississippi State's quarterback. Entered state in 1980. The Bulldogs were coming off of a 3-8 season. They zoomed to 9-3, beating Alabama that first year and got that first win of 4 over LSU. Bond led the Bulldogs to 27 victories over 4 seasons during his days in Starkville, and kind enough to join us now as the head coach, former radio personality, now a head coach over at St. Joseph Catholic in Madison, Mississippi, joining us here on Off the Bench, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge in New Orleans. John, good morning. How are you, man?
Well, good morning. I'm good. Yeah, I decided to put my money where my mouth where my money was, I guess.
Well, look, we talked.
I got tired of talking about it and got into it.
We talked to Jackie Sherrill 24 hours ago. He was on the show with us yesterday. I know he's a big fan of yours, and that's actually where you got your coaching start. Did you ever think that you'd get back into it when you were on his staff in the late 80s?
Well, yeah, it had always been in the back of my mind, and I just I had a really good job offer and got into it and did it for 15 years. But I'd always been around the game. You never leave football. It's so I've helped here and there and helped at some local colleges here. So it was always in the back of my mind. And when this opportunity arose, I jumped on it.
You made your fame as a wishbone quarterback. Now you're at the grassroots of football, kind of at the high school level. How has the game evolved? How has it changed? And how are you keeping up with the pace of football these days?
Yeah, well, it's I came in. It was kind of a weird deal. It was late in the year. I didn't start until June, so it's kind of hard to teach the triple option in a matter of weeks. So I'm kind of running what they ran last year, and we haven't been under center but about 3 times. So that's one way it's changed, is a lot of shotgun. But the game is just so much faster. People want to see points and move, basketball on grass. So that's what we're trying to do, is just make it fun for these guys. And, football's a tough sport, and, it's a year. You got to work year-round to be any good at it, and you only get, 11 or 12 shots at it in high school to show what all your work is paid off for. So it's a tough game, guys.
It is a tough game, and I imagine that early 80s football was pretty tough as well, especially when you beat LSU 4 times in a row. What was it like when you square off with the Tigers? What memories do you have?
Yeah, well, there was nothing more intimidating than going down there and even on the Friday walkthrough, the welcome you got with the guys that were tailgating the day before. It was not a warm welcome, let's put it that way. But that's what you love to see. It's got to be great to be a Tiger, to have that and to have those guys. They're almost seems like year round. So it's but it is very intimidating to go into a place like that with all the legends and the stories that you hear from it, and then to be right in the middle of it, right standing on that eye of the Tiger, is pretty intimidating.
What was your biggest kind of on the field memory from those 4 games with LSU?
Well, I tell you, it was actually my first one where I knew it was going to be a battle for 4 years. Is I want to say it was Chris Williams. They had really good defensive backfield, and Coach Ballard knew that. We had just beaten Alabama the week before. They had the number 1 defense in the country, and they were only allowing like 50 yards rushing per game, and I ran for like 100. So I knew that Emory was going to beat somebody at their strongest point. Had a really good defensive backfield back then, and so we knew they were going to give strong run support. And we opened up with a pass, threw a touchdown pass, but after we got into the game, and about the 3rd or 4th time I ran it, Chris Williams stood over me and told me there was a $1,500 bounty on my ass.
Oh, what?
So I said, "Oh my God, what have I got myself into?"
Oh man,
Back-to-back wins
as a freshman,
over Bama and LSU as a
big
freshman.
Time. That's as big time as it gets. We're talking to Mississippi State legend John Bond here on Off the Bench, 104.5, 100.3 ESPN. John, when you look at this year's Mississippi State team, although they're, look, yes, two losses in there. They look like they're starting to figure it out offensively, but really that defense looks to be as good as any in the country.
No, there's no question. Those guys up front, you know, that's what everybody says. Man, if we can get pressure on that quarterback with our guys up front, we can have a ball game, you know. And but that's what those guys give you. And Mississippi State, you know, expectations were high and this year, and I feel sorry for Coach Morey. I said, man, this you know, they put the bar way up there, and then you drop one to Florida and you drop one to Kentucky, and which are two good ball clubs.
Yeah.
You know, and I think all this preseason stuff and the way they ought to do it is the way they used to do it. You know, get about 4 games into the season before you can figure out who's who. And, you know, because I knew that LSU's always got too much talent to be talked about the way they were. I said, they're going to win some ball games, and they've got the guy to, you know, get them fired up and get them motivated in Eddie O. And there was a lot of, well, not a lot, but some disparaging things said about him around here. And I said, man, y'all are just wrong. That guy's going to get those guys ready to play. So it's been a weird first half of the season. But those guys up front, you are correct. I mean, it was about 1980 defense that these guys compared to.
St. Joseph Catholic School head coach John Bond joining us here, former Mississippi State quarterback, beat the Tigers 4 straight years. What have you made of the transition from Mullen to Moorhead and Starkville?
It's been a little rocky, but like you said, they're catching on. It's hard for, you know, he sat out the bowl game. He didn't even coach in the bowl game. So, I mean, he really just had, with the restrictions, the practicing restrictions they've got on him, he hadn't had much time with them. And he's probably about right now where people want him to be at the first of the season, you know? So it takes a little while to kind of catch on. And I'm seeing that here even at the high school level.
Yeah, and John, when you look at how this offense has kind of grown, when I look at the 2 losses, I see them kind of going for a balanced attack, right? Almost even on pass and run attempts. And then I look at the Auburn game, which was, I think, their best game to date. And it was just like, screw it, we're running Fitzgerald up the middle. We're using QB runs, over 50 rushing attempts. Are you expecting a similar game plan this Saturday?
I would imagine. You know, and I think it's kind of like the opposite of Coach Mumme. You know, Coach Mumme spreads them out to try and run the ball a little bit. Well, we need to run the ball a bunch to try and throw the ball a little bit. And that was kind of the same philosophy of the wishbone. You know, you hit them big when you do get a pass. So I think we need to go with the run just because we can do that and do that well. You know, and it kind of takes time off the clock to keep the other guys on the bench. And, you know, you control the ball a little bit, little old school stuff.
John, best of luck to your high school team this weekend.
I appreciate you.
Absolutely. Rivers, our producer, is a Starkville native. She tells us you're a legend over there, so we appreciate your time, man.